When Mom found her 4-bedroom, 3-bath dream home in Whispering Lake, I was relieved. I had known that we would be moving for months now, but it took Mom forever to find a house that really spoke to her. I have to admit, the house was pretty nice, and it was in the same community that many of my friends lived in. I was just happy that I finally got my own bedroom at the age of 14. The house even had a basement that Mom said we could turn into a game room for me and my 2 little brothers. Mom was just glad to have more space for her 3 rowdy sons, but what she really loved most about the house was the garden. It stretched from the front all the way around the entire house. She loved to plant flowers, fruits, and vegetables, and she was always trying to get us to eat healthier. Our first night there, she ran to the store to pick up some sunflower seeds to plant. Then, after dinner, she grabbed her gloves and trowel and headed outside. She stayed out there until it was dark. I don't see how getting dirty could make someone so happy. If you asked me what made me happy, I'd say video games, pepperoni pizza, or picking my nose and wiping it on my 2 little brothers. That last one is at the top of my list, because what's better than hearing your little brother scream? Ryan, Leland, and I loved to play hide and seek, and our new home was the perfect place to play. It was huge. The garden was my favorite hiding spot because there were so many bushes to hide behind. Mom didn't like us to play in there though. She got angry when we accidentally trampled anything. As much as I liked the house, there were things that I didn't like about it too. Like the way the floors in the hallway creaked all night long, like someone was walking back and forth. Or the scratching I hear every single night at bedtime coming from the attic. I believed the house could be haunted, but Mom shut that idea down right away. She said old houses make noises all the time, and that it was probably just the pipes settling or mice. Then some other strange things started to happen that really got me thinking ghosts were living in the house. First, some of my friends from the neighborhood revealed to me that 4 members of the family that lived there many years ago had been poisoned by another family member. They also told me that anyone that has moved in since hasn't stayed very long. After hearing that, I was curious to know more. Of course I brought this to Mom's attention right away, but she just brushed it off as if it was nothing. She said that they were just trying to scare me and that if anyone died in the home, then the realtor would have told her before she purchased it. Well? I asked. Well, what? She questioned back. Did the realtor mention anything? Of course not, she replied, rolling her eyes, and went back to folding laundry. As I stormed out of the kitchen, the lights flickered. I stopped and glanced at Mom. She paused from folding laundry for a moment. Great, now I'll have to call an electrician, she said. You don't call an electrician to deal with ghosts, I yelled over my shoulder as I walked away. Later that night, we all settled down in the living room to watch a movie. We took a vote to see what movie everyone wanted to watch. Me and my brothers won. We chose Dead Silence. Mom wasn't too thrilled about it. She hates scary movies, but we won fair and square. I put the movie in while Mom headed to the kitchen to make some popcorn and get drinks for everyone. Halfway through the movie, we felt a cold breeze sweep through the room. I snatched the quilt Mom always kept laying over the back of the couch, and we all huddled together under it. Mom got up to make sure all of the windows were closed. Then she checked the thermostat. You've got to be kidding me, she said, annoyed. She had already spent most of our savings on an exterminator and an electrician, and now the heat wasn't working. A shiver ran down my spine. It seemed to be getting colder by the minute. After the movie ended, we all cuddled up on the couch with loads of pillows and blankets. When I awoke the next morning, Mom was already up and out working in the garden. I got dressed, and when I headed outside, she was talking to one of the neighbors. I overheard her telling the woman that she grew up nearby and she was glad to be back in the area. Welcome to the neighborhood, the woman said to Mom as she waved goodbye. I wasn't sure why she would want to move back to the place where she grew up. It was pretty boring here if you ask me. If it wasn't for my friends and the skate park, I would be bored out of my mind. Suddenly, a foul odor wafted past me and I gagged. What's that horrible smell? I asked, pinching my nose tightly. It's the fertilizer. I need it to help my plants grow, Mom said. I headed back inside as quickly as I could before I barfed into Mom's garden. Later that afternoon, I was in my room playing video games with Ryan when Mom barged in, accusing one of us of moving her keys. "I know I left them in the bowl next to the front door," she insisted. "Well, I didn't move them," I said, maintaining my innocence. "Please, help me find them. I need to go buy more seeds for my garden," she said frantically. She'd been planting seeds every day since we moved in. I don't know why she was in such a panic about getting more. We turned off the game and began to check upstairs while Mom headed downstairs to look. Ryan disappeared down the hallway, and a minute later I heard glass shattering and him crying. I raced down the hallway to see that somehow the chandelier at the top of the staircase had come crashing down. Mom was furious. She acted as if someone had purposely hurt Ryan, but it was obviously an accident. As she headed to the bathroom to get the first aid kit, she glared at the doorway leading to her bedroom. I glanced to see what she was looking at, but there was nothing there. She cleaned and bandaged the cuts that he had on his face, arms, and legs, and then we continued looking for Mom's keys. But instead of helping, Mom walked through the kitchen and went outside. I followed her to see what she was doing. She was kneeling down in front of the garden, and she was crying. I crept closer and heard her whispering. I listened attentively and could slightly make out what she was saying. I ran back inside before she caught me out there and resumed looking for her keys. We found them 10 minutes later in the refrigerator. I have no idea how they got there, but assumed it was my youngest brother, who is a prankster. He wasn't home now. He'd gone to his friend's house down the street, so he must have hidden them before he left. Mom grabbed the keys and raced out the door. As soon as she left, I pulled Ryan aside and told him what I had heard Mom say. She was talking to the plants in the garden. He laughed. I'm not joking around. She kept saying that she was sorry she didn't have anything else to feed them. Then she begged them not to hurt us. Ryan was laughing so hard that he was in tears. "Whatever, you don't have to believe me," I screamed at him as I grabbed a flashlight and headed back outside to the garden. It smelled terrible out there. I covered my nose and mouth with the sleeve of my jacket. I shined the light back and forth and noticed that all of the fruits and vegetables that had started to grow were gone. The vines were stripped bare. The garden was completely empty. I bent down to get a closer look and noticed something sticking out from under the soil. I brushed the dirt away and shined the light on the object. There were words, written on a rock. I tried to pull it out, but it wouldn't budge. It was buried pretty deep. I spotted a shovel next to the porch, grabbed it, and then began to furiously dig. When the entire rock was unearthed, I read what it said. Cynthia Winslow. That was my grandma's name. She had passed away before I was born, but Mom showed us pictures and talked about her all the time. Something urged me to keep digging. I discovered 3 more makeshift tombstones and some pieces of bone belonging to Allison, Jonathan, and Robert Winslow. That was my mom's entire family. Her mother, father, sister, and brother had died in a car accident when she was a little girl. At least that's what she had told us. But why were they all buried here, in the garden? I realized at that moment that my mom's family was the family that had been murdered here in our home so many years ago. If what my friends told me was true, I have a pretty good idea who the family member is that poisoned them. Subscribe for a new story Mondays, Wednesdays, and don't forget Saturdays. See you next time on
Gina's Nightmares.
Really? You're supposed to click the like button, not me. Ugh.